Good evening, campers, and welcome aboard the Starship Nightwish. I'm Commander Exorcist, and it is time, once again, for Talk O Tuesday. This is my weekly Elite Dangerous show where I pick a Galnet article, read it, talk about it, primarily from a lore perspective, but I will break the fourth wall if necessary. And first off, before we get started, I do want to apologize for not having a Talk O Tuesday last week. It was a little bit of a rough week, and plus, we really didn't get anything. That was a major contributing factor to having nothing really new to talk about. Well, this week we've got quite a bit to talk about. Even though the Galnet article is probably a quarter of the size of what we're used to, there's quite a bit going on in the community at the moment. And I have opinions, and unfortunately, I got to share them. So we're going to jump right into it today, and we're going to talk about Titan Oya. Now, in the past few weeks, it has been a cycle. We took out Tyrannus, and then about 2 weeks later, we took out Legon, and then it looked like Oya, who was much more heavily defended than some of the others that we had engaged, was going to take a little bit longer to fight. But it was looking at about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe sooner, before Oya was poised to fall. As a matter of fact, some prior reports from the AX community and others projected that there was a chance that Oya could have, probably should have already fallen, or at least been in a critical status at this point. However, that didn't happen. No, that didn't happen. We got this little surprise. And I can tell you that tempers have flared all across the spectrum. And I'm going to give you my perspective as we go through this article. I haven't read this article other than kind of pasting it into my presentation program, but I'm well aware of what this is referencing. And I have thoughts both in-game lore and external god power influences that we're going to talk about here. So let's get started with the Titan Oya deploys a surprise fleet of Orthis vessels. So if you don't know, Titan Oya was posed to lose almost every system that it controlled on Thursday. When the tick happened and the server updates occurred on Thursday, guess what? That didn't happen. Turns out that Oya actually entered about 20 systems or so into alert status, which basically meant that all the hard work that the AX folks had done, all the commanders that had been contributing to attacking Oya and bringing it down and making it to where we could attack it directly, all their work was for nothing. Talk about a huge insult. But a little bit later on in the day, we got this little gem. So we're going to go through this. The Titan known as Oya appears to have deployed a large fleet of Orthis vessels into star systems farther from their own territory, breaking expected behavior. Yeah, breaking expected behavior is a very, very nice way of putting it. Nobody expected this. Nobody planned for this, and it kind of makes sense that this would happen. We'll talk a little bit about that too. Analysts noted that the locations in which Orthis vessels have been tracked didn't appear to have any particular importance, instead suggesting this may be a new tactic or possibly a simple panic response to the mounting pressure on its fleet. Now, I had said in a previous video, and I stand by it, that it would be boring if the Titans just sat there and allowed us to pick them off one at a time. It's a lot of work. It's certainly a lot of work. There's a lot to be done. There's a lot to engage, a lot to fight, and then once you've taken out all the systems, the fight for the Titan is just, it's hard too. So here we are with Oya throwing out a bunch of Orthis vessels, and the point of throwing out the Orthis fleet is really to regain control of those systems and reinforce its defenses. That's what this is about. And, it really makes sense that the Thargoids would try something along these lines, because if they have linked the health and resiliency of their hearts on the Titans to how many systems they control, then they're going to want to control as many as possible. And seeing humanity take those systems one at a time, it really reeks of a desperation ploy from the Thargoids. And so, what better way, if you're just looking to control the territory and you don't want to do anything else with it, an Orthis is a great idea. They can just mass produce those things, send them out there, and they don't really do anything except they seem more like intelligence gatherers, and they just got to hang out. And so once the system is under their control, then Oya's defenses will be reinforced. It's really, I think I talked about it in a past video, I can't remember, but it's really an interesting system that they've come up with where they tie the Thargoid defenses to the size of the area they control. I'm not really sure how that goes. And I had mentioned in the past, like relating it to the Ori, about how they had the more followers the Ori had, the stronger their fleets were, the stronger their individual power was, because they were able to take power from the concept of belief. Can the Thargoids take their power from the sheer volume of space they're responsible for? I don't see how they can translate control of a solar system into actual energy or an actual defensive countermeasure. It's just really unusual. I'm not really sure how lore-wise I can justify that, but I see the point, because if that is their defensive system, then they're going to want to do anything that they can. War is hell. War isn't fair. People who think that war needs to be fair and needs to be pretty like it is in the movies don't understand war. It's ugly, it's mean, it's unjust, and things like this happen. And there are plenty of generals out there that have made plenty of war plans that didn't go their way. So it says Titan Oya has been steadily losing territory to large numbers of AX-equipped human forces. These forces, spearheaded by coalitions known as AXI and XSF, have been reclaiming ground from the Titans successfully for some time, and were pivotal in the recent successful campaigns against the now-destroyed Titans Tyrannus and Lagon. It's so weird to think that Tyrannus and Lagon are gone. Like, that's just really fascinating to think that those massive beasts that have been haunting human space for so long, that they're history. It's really cool. The Pilots Federation have issued an alert to all independent pilots for each of the star systems where Orthis vessels have been detected. If Oya can be prevented from reclaiming territory, then it's likely that this third Titan will fall within mere weeks. It should have already been gone. That's the frustrating part. We encourage all pilots to track and eliminate any Orthis vessels found patrolling these star systems before the Thargoids can move their assault forces into these footholds. So long story short is that Oya has unleashed a fleet of Orthis vessels into star systems with the sole purpose of turning them from alert and to controlled state so that its defense systems can be reinforced. Now, when this happened, the reactions were across the board. You had reactions across the spectrum. You had people who just legit didn't care, to people who it was like the end of the world for them. I sat somewhere in the middle on this, and my issue is that a lot of hard work went into defending or removing these systems and preparing for the Oya assault, and then it just was kind of ripped away. And so I was a little bit disappointed for all of the commanders that had put so much hard work into, working up to this moment. And so, and that comes from, that's outside, that's a fourth wall break. That's outside of the lore gameplay element. And that is more of from a player standpoint, from playing a video game. That's frustrating to see all the work that you've done just reset by somebody in a server room. It's really disappointing. However, from a lore perspective, it's very good. It's very good from a lore perspective because you have a complete, it's not a complete change. I almost said complete, but it's not a complete change in behavior. It's a new behavior based on technology they already have. So you have the Thargoids with these Orthis vessels. And it seems like they have more of them recently, or they're able to mass produce them more. Maybe they cost less because they're not really like a hunter-killer combat vessel. And so I think that it makes total sense because you have 2 Titans have fallen already. And in any military situation, the remaining Titans should wake up and say, wait a minute, we cannot stay here and let us be picked off by these humans like they did our brothers. So you can't do that. And so it would make total sense for them to look at kind of the grand scheme of the combat situation in the bubble and say, okay, we're going to make a change to how we're doing things. So let's just throw out a bunch of Orthis. At least we get to keep control of the systems and potentially stave off destruction. And at this point, I think this validates kind of what, unfortunately, El Presidente was saying about changing tactics. And so I think this is one of the tactics we may see. And I say that because this is probably not the last. If this doesn't work, because I can tell you that it hasn't really worked. The AX community and the Elite Dangerous community in general, after they rubbed a little bit of the salt out of the wounds for this one, they banded together. And as far as I'm aware, I don't have the overlay available, but I've seen posts where every one of those systems have been retaken. So every one of these systems that the Orthis have invaded, they've retaken them already. So this is a big deal. It's a big deal that the community is able to roll in there. They may not get Oya this week, but they might get it next week because these systems are about to fall. They're not the Thargoid quest to just throw out the Orthis and say, no, you can't get us, has failed. It has failed. So even if a couple of systems are retaken as controlled systems, it's not enough to really maintain Oya for much longer. So, like I said, the reaction ran the whole spectrum. But I stay kind of in the middle because I see it from the disappointment of a player, but I also see it from the importance of a lore perspective. It's no different than if the Titan just decided to pick up and move somewhere else. So, or maybe combine with another. So I think we should be ready for this. It's important to plan and have plans, but it's also important for us to recognize we're fighting a war, and we can't expect to just sit around and be able to pick off each Titan one by one. That wouldn't be any fun, now would it? Hey everybody, these are the Disciples. These people help me. They help support the content that I create on this channel and in other places. If you would like to join and be a Disciple, which means just to provide a little bit of help to keep the channel running and keep me trying new things, patreon.com/Commander Exorcist. You get access to special behind-the-scenes stuff, a monthly vlog. I've got early access to certain things that I work on, and just really kind of as much close insight as I can provide, and trying to make that a service worthwhile. So if you would like to join up and support, there's the link, and would love to have you aboard. And folks, that is going to be it. There's not much, but there is a lot. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of frustration with this. I totally get it. I support it. But I am very impressed, as always, with the Elite Dangerous community that refused to bow down to the god hands in the server room and said, hey, you know what? Okay, that's fine. And they've gone out there and they've pretty much cleared out these systems and are ready to see Oya fall, whether it's next week or the following week. This Titan is not long for this world, and I cannot wait to see the look when it finally does fall and the Thargoids are beaten once again, and they're obviously getting more desperate, and I can't wait to see them get even more desperate as we continue to pick them off one by one. Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I'm Commander Exorcist. Take care, fly safe, and I will see you out there. Good night, everybody.